Thank you to Thomas Moreira for these 4 suggestions. Hello everybody, this is JT Productions and I'm back with another preview and prediction video. Today I'll be doing the Iowa State Cyclones. Last season, Iowa State went 7-6, 5-4 in the Big 12, and a streak of 1 loss against the Clemson Tigers in the Cheez-Its Bowl. Last season was a big disappointment for Iowa State, who had, at the beginning of the season, thoughts of maybe making the Big 12 championship and maybe even making the playoffs. Since then, they have lost a lot of players like Brock Purdy, who is their quarterback the past 4 or 5 years, since I think 2017, Breece Hall, their superstar running back, and Charlie Kolar, who was the main target on the offense. They did retain some guys, like Will McDonald, who could become one of the best defensive linemen in college football, maybe even defensive players in college football this year. Not much to say. They have a young quarterback, redshirt sophomore, Hunter Deckers. Their running back, they have a redshirt junior, Jarrell Brock, sophomore Deion Silas. Wide receivers, they have redshirt senior transfer Xavier Hutchinson, redshirt senior transfer Darren Wilson, redshirt senior transfer Dimitri Stanley from Colorado. The offensive line, they're pretty older, redshirt juniors and above. Have one redshirt sophomore. Tight ends, they have redshirt junior Easton Dean, redshirt senior Jared Russ. I don't know how they'll be. Defensive side, they have a couple of transfers. MJ Anderson from Minnesota. On the defensive end side, Colby Reeder from Delaware, redshirt senior transfer at the linebacker, and then 2 community college transfers in the secondary in Trevion McGee and Blake Thompson. It's going to take a lot for this team because the Big 12 around them is getting better. So that's not a good sign for Iowa State. Last season, the games they lost were against Iowa, at home, at Baylor, at West Virginia, at Texas Tech, and at Oklahoma. And then, of course, Clemson. They had a close call against Oklahoma State, against Kansas State, and then against Northern Iowa at home. They did retain Matt Campbell. He is a pretty good head coach on their side, so we'll see if he can't help them out, turning the tide, kind of overachieving this year instead of underachieving. Recruiting-wise, Iowa State is ranked as the 49th ranked team in recruiting over the past 5 years. 39th this year, 59th last year, 46th in 2020, 46th in 2019, and 55th in 2018. I mean, for Big 12 standards, that's okay. However, if they're going to compete nationally, they're going to have to do better. Now, can they do better? Yes. Will they? That's the question. They're bringing in so much new. They're having so much new turnover. It's just a lot of new pieces is going to make it hard for this offense and defense. Mostly offense, though. So let's see their schedule. 2022, first game, they play Southeast Missouri Redhawks. You don't play Northern Iowa, so that's a good thing. Over the past 2 or 3 years, Northern Iowa has given Iowa and Iowa State a run for their money. Southeast Missouri, you should handle them easily before you go on the road to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes. So you start out 1-0, so that's a good thing. Maybe you'll get the quarterback position figured out. Maybe. We'll see. Week 2 at Iowa. I don't think you're winning this game. The defense on Iowa is just going to be too much. And it's probably going to be a score that doesn't get past 27. Honestly, the combined score is probably going to be around 38 to 47 or something like that. So I think Iowa gets the win. I think that Iowa State just makes too many mistakes and gets the loss in Iowa City to start out 1-1. Then you have Ohio come to town. I think gonna win this game. Ohio's just not on the same echelon as an Iowa State. So I think you start at 2-1 before you host Baylor. Baylor's gonna take a step back this year. However, I don't think it's gonna be a big step back, and I think they're gonna get the win against you. Oh gosh, what's their head coach's name? Anyways, he's a great head coach, very great defensive head coach. Will the new quarterback work out for Baylor? We don't know. I think he will. I trust their head coach, and I think that they get the win, and you start out 2-2. Then you're at Kansas. Kansas is probably one of the teams that you will be favored in. And I do think you get the win at Kansas. Kansas, they're on the way up. However, it's going to take them a year more or two to get to the middle of the Big 12 in talent. So I think you get the win and are 3-2. Then you have Kansas State at home, and I think you win this one as well. Kansas State brings in Adrian Martinez. He's very inconsistent, and I could see him being inconsistent in this game, being pressured the whole game by Will McDonald. So I think you get the win at home against Kansas State, and you're 4-2 before you go on the road to Texas to take on the Longhorns. I think this is where you get your next loss. Texas, they're going to have an explosive improvement from last year, and I think that they get the win against you on the road or in their house. So you go into your bye week 4-3. After your bye week, you host Oklahoma. You, like Oklahoma fans say, no one has ever won in Ames. So I guess if nobody's lost and nobody's won, and I think that you lose. I think Oklahoma at this point in the season has their act together, and I think that they get a big win against Iowa State, and you're 4-4 at this point. Next, you have West Virginia coming into town, and I think you go off the rails at this point. West Virginia is going to be a very improved team. They have JT Daniels, Lynn J. Dixon. Their defense is going to be one of the best in the Big 12. So I think at this point you're 4-5 before going on the road to Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's going to be looking for they're going to be looking for revenge from last year. Mike Gundy is going to be looking for a win against a team they lost against last year, and one of them being you. I think you suffer to it in Stillwater. So you're 4-6. You have to win your last two games to be bowl eligible. And I think you don't. I think Texas Tech comes into town, and they get the win. I think their offense is going to be too much. And then you're at TCU. Actually, no. I have you winning at TCU. However, you're 5-7 at this point. TCU, the reason I have you winning at TCU has a lot more problems than you have at this point. So I think you're one game off of bowl eligibility, take a little bit of a step back from last year, and hope for the best next year. And honestly, that game at Oklahoma State's a toss-up. I'll give you that. But I just think that the revenge factor is going to be a big thing in that game, and you're playing there. So I think you come up short of a bowl game appearance and finish the season 5-7. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Like I said in the last video, my new schedule from now on is Monday through Thursdays is the main time for me to do preview and prediction videos. Friday, I'll finish up what I haven't done yet, and then the weekend I'll be taking off. However, if you leave me a comment about teams to do on like Friday afternoon, Friday evening, or anytime during the weekend, I will do those Monday. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, and go Dogs.